Okay, they were predicting the Dallas Cowboys record. So if you look at their roster, their offense looks good. Their offensive line should be continue to be good, especially with Zach Martin there, as long as everybody still stays healthy. They got Gilmore, CD, and Gallup give them a lethal wide receiver options. Their tight ends. I like Ferguson. I think he's gonna do good, and Pollard is what I'm most worried about. He's coming off a pretty big injury, so I'm not sure how that run game will do. And Dak Prescott, obviously, he just has to bounce back, stop their own picks. That's pretty much it. And defense, overall, the defense looks good. They still have DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons. That pass rush is good enough. Secondary, they got Gilmore. Secondary looks good, especially with Diggs Gilmore do. I'm still worried about their run defense, which was definitely their weakness last year. But I trust Dan Quinn. He's an experienced coordinator, so I trust Dan Quinn. So you have the first game versus the Giants. Ooh, not an easy game to start off with. Giants, they definitely improved with Waller. They signed a couple defensive guys. Cowboys are still more talented, but this is a divisional game, so hard to predict, especially with Giants have a home field advantage. But Dallas is just more talented, so I give them the win. Then you have them versus the Jets. Jets, Aaron Rodgers should do well against, can have success against the Cowboys secondary. The Jets defense, I think, will definitely cause problem for Dak Prescott. They're one of the few defenses that I think can shut down Gallup's Lamb and Cooks. And but the Jets don't have a really strong run game, so I don't think they can handle. I don't think they'll exploit Dallas's weakness. And I think Dallas's pass rush with Michael Parsons is going to cause way too much trouble for Aaron Rodgers. So I'm going to take the Cowboys. And they have Cowboys have home field advantage also. Then you have the Cardinals. They have probably one of the worst teams. Kyler Murray's not starting. DeAndre Hopkins just got released. Cowboys all day. And then you have them versus the Patriots. Patriots, their defense is another very good defense. They drafted that cornerback. They still have Bill Belichick coordinating. The defense will always be good or will always cause problems. But that offense of the Patriots is just not good enough. Mac Jones is kind of inexperienced. Their run game is good. It's always average, and their wide receivers aren't anything special. So I'm gonna take the Cowboys. And then you have the Niners against the Cowboys. Um, the divisional game from last year. Niners. I think the Cowboys defense will do good against the Niners. Okay. They did good in the playoffs last year versus them, but the Cowboys offense kind of choked last year. But Niners, Brock Purdy should probably still be a little rusty from his injury, and that run game can cause problems. But I think Cowboys defense will do a good job containing the Niners, and I think I trust the Cowboys offense more than I trust the Niners offense. So I'm gonna take the upset. I'm gonna take the Cowboys here. And you have them versus the Chargers on Monday night. Chargers, they do have a few weaknesses. Um, I feel like the Cowboys wide receiver can do good against their cornerbacks, especially if J.C. Jackson does not bounce back. I think, and I also think Derwin James overrated. But I feel like Chargers' strength is their front seven, and I think the Cowboys aren't going to be running it too much in the first half of the season because of Pollard's injury. I do think Cowboys offense will have success, but that Chargers offense, especially with that wide receiver, they drive it can definitely cause problems for the Cowboys. Do I and the offensive line? Chargers don't have a really strong offensive line either, but I think that Chargers offense will get it done, and I think this is one of those annual. They're starting off 5-0, one of those annual upsets that just lose faith in the Cowboys right before their bye week. So I'm national television, so I'm gonna take the Chargers here. And you have the bye, and then you have them versus the Rams. Rams are another rebuilding team. Cowboys are coming off a bye with home field advantage. The Rams defense not good like at all. Rams weakness on offense, their offensive line. Cowboys strength on defense, their defensive line. I'm taking the Cowboys here. And you have them versus the Eagles. Eagles, another team that always plays tough. These matchups are always good, always down to the wire. So they're both really talented teams. They both have strengths all around. But I think Dallas's weakness in the run game and Eagles' offense excelling in the rushing. I think Eagles will get the win. I got him fly that just flew across the monitor. Okay, then you have Week 10 versus the Giants. Um, Giants, pretty much what I said earlier. Their talent is not there, but they're always potential upset game, especially um, with Saquon Barkley there. He should definitely take over a game, but I'm still taking Cowboys here. Then you have them versus the Panthers. Panthers are definitely an upset. Dallas has to travel upset, definitely a potential upset. Dallas has to travel to Carolina. Bryce Young, even though they don't have the most greatest receiver, you never know what Bryce Young might do. The Panthers have a very young defense. Um, they can definitely cause problem for the Cowboys, but Cowboys being the more experienced team, I gotta take experience over potential. So I'm thinking the Cowboys here. And then you have I believe this is Thanksgiving, maybe not. They have back-to-back Thursday nighters, which they sometimes do, but Commanders, they aren't that talented. They're starting Sam Howell. That defense will get at a very bad. I think the Commanders have a bad offensive line, so I'm taking the Cowboys here. Then you have them versus the Seahawks. Um, Seahawks, they're an interesting team. They did improve with JSN. They do still have Geno Smith, who I think will come back to earth. Their defense, I wish they did more in their defense, and I think that defense will let them down in a very high scoring game. I'm gonna take the Cowboys. And then you have them against the Eagles. Like I said earlier, they're both very, very talented. Um, Eagles probably have the slightly better offense with a slightly better offensive line, but I do think Cowboys have a better defense than the Eagles do. But I had the Eagles winning earlier, and I don't see either team. I see them splitting, so I'm taking the Cowboys here. And then you have the Bills. The Bills. Ooh, that's gonna be a high. That's gonna be a really good game. Josh Allen can definitely cause problems. Okay, Josh Allen is always going to be a problem, and I think that Bills' pass rush will be too much for the Cowboys to handle. Even though Cowboys usually have a very good defensive line, I think the Bills have a more well-rounded offense than the Cowboys do. So I'm taking the Bills, and it's also a December game, I think. So it's going to be cold in Buffalo. And you need to run the ball when it's cold, and with Josh Allen, I just trust the Bills' run game more. So I'm taking the Bills. And you have them versus the Dolphins. Dolphins another potential upset, if you can call it that. Um, Dolphins, their offense, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Wall can definitely. This is gonna be a really interesting cornerback wide receiver matchup. Cooks and Cooks and Cooks and CD versus Ramsey and Howard, and then you have Hill and Waddle versus Diggs and Gilmore. So that's going to be interesting. Dolphins do have a home field advantage, and the Cowboys are coming off back-to-back games. But I feel like again the Cowboys. I think they have the better quarterback, and I think they're going to win because of that. And you have them versus the Lions, another potential upset. Lions offense is really good. They were really good last year, and they should be better this year. They can definitely cause problems. But Lions defense, they did improve with that cornerback they signed. They signed the safety, and I definitely improved, but I don't think improved enough. So I'm gonna take the Cowboys. And then at this point, I think the Cowboys are pretty much locked or get close enough to locking up the division. So I'm gonna give the Commanders a free win here. So in the end, the Cowboys going 13-4, 14 division, 8-0 at home, and 5-4 away.